The Israeli company Alminda announced that following U.S. FDA clearance, its unique brain analysis system, BNA, will begin operation next year in 6 markets around the USA. For the first time ever, healthcare specialists will have a tool to accurately assess a patient's damaged brain functionality and compare it with the normative activity of healthy brains. The announcement was welcomed by several national sports organizations that are facing expensive lawsuits filed by injured sportsmen relating to concussions. We get more on this report from IBA's Dennis Zinn.
Football heroes crushed by the violence of the sport they love. Household names like Brett Favre, Junior Seau, Jim McMahon, and today an even younger victim of head trauma, 32-year-old former Super Bowl tight end Ben Utecht.
Head injuries from contact sports are a great cause of concern in the United States, especially in high-energy games such as tackle football and ice hockey. Each year, over 4 million new cases are reported. Major sports bodies, and especially the NFL and the NCAA, are embroiled in lawsuits filed by athletes and their families for concussion-related claims that could total over $1 billion. A major part of the problem is that until recently, medical professionals had no way of precisely measuring the harm caused by a blow to the head, and often eager sportsmen returned to play prematurely, sometimes immediately, further enhancing the injury. But now, that is all set to change thanks to a new revolutionary non-invasive monitoring system which can accurately analyze and quantify a patient's brain function.
Managing concussion is difficult because we can't see the injury itself. We can do a physical examination and see signs of brain dysfunction perhaps. Sometimes we get descriptions of symptoms from the patients themselves. But it's also quite possible that somebody can be injured and not really have a clinical effect. And so to have a tool that measures the injury itself and not just the symptoms or just the signs you see on examination is incredibly powerful.
The system called BNA, or Brain Network Activation, was developed by the Israeli company Alminda, based in Herzliya.
The challenge is that our brain is composed of 100 billion of neurons that are connected between them with 1 trillion connections. So every second that we speak, that we perform tasks, there are hundreds of neuronal firing that are generating our function. There's no good way to measure that. So that's the area that we concentrate, to measure neuronal firing and measure those network of neuronal activity that is underlying the brain function, which is sort of the software of the brain as compared to the hardware of the brain.
A sensor-laden net is placed on the patient's head. It scans the brain and measures cranial activity, providing precise insight into brain functionality and enabling the doctor to make the right back-to-play decision.
You have a Google map out and you're looking to go from one place to the next and the highways are all green, right? Information is flowing great. Well, a concussion is what happens basically when there's a traffic jam and the highways are now all yellow and red and you can't get around. BNA is actually measuring that concept and allows us to get a sense as to how injured the brain is and how well it's functioning.
BNA was recently approved for use in the United States by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. And according to Alminda CEO Ronen Gadot, the scope of applications presented by the BNA platform is enormous.
Since we're assessing how the brain is functioning, and we're learning along the way, and we're generating databases, what does it mean, dysfunction of the brain? What happens in our brain when disease is progressing? What happens in our brain when we take specific medication, how it affects the brain? So we have research in a variety of areas. For example, neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD, like autism, even dyslexia, brain injuries like concussions, like strokes, like traumatic brain injuries, neurological disorders like epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, psychiatric disorders like depression and schizophrenia, and also neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
It's no wonder then that Alminda was on the agenda of US President Barack Obama during his 2013 visit to Israel. After reviewing the BNA system and meeting its developers, he told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he was highly impressed by what he saw, saying humorously, "These guys must have more brains than both of us put together." Dennis Zinn, IBA News.